What's going on YouTube? Last week I replaced the door speakers, or the rear door speakers in my '09 Chevy Colorado, and it really just brought home the fact that the rest of the stereo needs to be replaced too. So I went ahead and ordered some more Rockford fosgates for the front doors. These are actually 6.5s component speakers. They got the little tweeter that is mounted up higher in the door. Again, got it off Crutchfield. They were here in like 2 days, great price, and it comes with all the hardware. So it comes with the adapter kit for the wires, and then there's mounting brackets on the bottom of this. I'm gonna take a look at these real quick. The grills, just nice looking 6.5. And it's got the top mounted tweeters. They're adjustable for direction, that kind of stuff. Go ahead and get going. At the end of the project, I went ahead and got all the tools together just to show what all you're going to need for this project. Mainly hand tools, a couple little pry bars, a drill, soldering iron. You really don't need that. You can use just the regular butt connectors, but I like soldering it just for the vehicle. I make it last longer. I did use some RTV silicone in between the door panel and the back side of the speaker just to keep the rattle down. We're going to start by pulling out the Phillips screws that hold on the door handle bezel and the window regulator cluster. And then once you do that, you just pull out the little plastic clip on the back side. It's a whole lot easier to pull that out before you get the door panel off. You use a little pry bar to get the plastic clips out from around the outside of the door. There's a second piece that's mounted on the inside of the mirror, and it just pops right off. Once you got the door panel off, now you have access to the speakers and the rest of this. So the main 6.5 speaker, there's one screw and then one little wire connector. For the little tweeter up in the door, there's just a couple little plastic clips. Use a little pick just to pry them out of the way. And then I measured from the screw that mounts the door handle bezel to where the center of the tweeter is in the door panel, and that's what I'm laying out right here. After I center punch where I want the hole locations to be, use a pilot hole. I think it was like a 3/32 or something like that. And then kind of see whatever size you need for the screw that you're going to use. I go ahead and put a little bit of silicone in between the door panel and the speaker itself just to keep the vibrations down. And it helps hold it over time so the screws don't come loose. After that, you're going to take the connector itself for the tweeter speaker. Get a little slack in the line because we're going to cut that off, and we're going to solder in the actual adapter for the new speakers. I go ahead and leave a little extra cable when I'm cutting these wires to length. You don't need 4 foot behind the door panel, but it's nice to have an extra foot if you're going to replace these or do something down the road. Now I'm just going to mark which is the factory negative and which is the factory positive, just so when I get ready to wire these things up. And then I'm actually going to solder these in place. Be sure and put some heat shrink around them. For the 6.5 inch, the main speaker, we're going to set this in place, and I'm going to use a center punch to figure out where I want to mount the holes. And same thing before, use a tiny pilot drill bit, and then go through and open it up to the size that you need for whatever screw you're going to use. Again, put some silicone on the back side of this, it'll keep it from rattling. And we're going to do the same process for soldering it in. We're just going to figure out whatever the factory negative is, and that's mainly what I use for deciding which wire goes where. Now the speakers are all wired up, we're going to go through and tighten up all the window regulators, door handle bolts. They're basically all just 10 millimeters all on the inside of the door panel, and we're not planning on having this panel off again anytime soon, so tighten them up while they're at it. Once you got that done, we're just going to reverse order of taking the inner panel off. Just pop it on, make sure all your plastic clips around the outside are popped in. If you ever have any issues, I find to put a little silicone on the outside of those, kind of keeps the rattling down too. Then you put in the Phillips screws, that upper little piece, and you're good to go. Be sure and use dielectric grease on any of your electrical connectors. It keeps moisture out and it keeps you a more solid connection. So far I have all of my door speakers are converted over to Rockford fosgates, and I'm super happy with the speakers, but now it's time to replace the factory head unit. So that's going to be an upcoming video. Thanks for watching. See ya.